Hello everybody, Cooper here, and welcome back to another episode of my AFL 26 Management Career Mode here with Port Adelaide. Hope you're all doing very well and have had a very nice weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. The Gold Coast won, Port lost. Did Port lose? I believe they did. Yeah, they're in the bottom four now. Obviously, growing up a Crows fan and seeing Port lose does make me feel nice inside, but this series is on Port Adelaide, so I don't know why I'm talking about them losing. Anyway, enough about the real life stuff. Today's video, there's not going to be any gameplay, so we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go over our off-season targets for the 2025 off-season, not necessarily in the draft, because I haven't really figured out who I'm going to go after. I have sort of put together a preliminary watch list and short list of players, but we're going to have a look at players that are currently in the AFL that we're going to be able to either trade for or sign via free agency, and look at some of the players that we may even trade away. And how we're going to do this is we're going to go position by position. We're going to start with the defenders, and as you can see, we've got probably maybe 15 to 20 guys for each position that we are going to be looking at. I am going to make a similar video once we get into the AFLW stuff as well, once sort of that season kicks on. We're currently in May in the season, so once we're in August, sort of in-game, not necessarily in real life, I doubt it'll take that long, but that is sort of where we will sort of go through that process. But first of all, we are going to start off with Angus Clark. He is a younger player, 189 centimeters tall. I sort of see him in the Ryan Burton mold. Obviously, he plays for Essendon. A lot of these players that I have shortlisted are from South Australia or are players that probably could use a change of scenery. Angus Clark has a lot of potential, 79 to 88 potential. We'll see what he can do if, for whatever reason, Essendon wanted a player of ours, or we could send a draft pick or something their way. Kitty Coleman, obviously coming off a big knee injury, missed out on the Premiership with Brisbane. The only thing that would probably deter him from coming to Port Adelaide is that he is an academy recruit from the Brisbane Academy. I believe he is actually from Queensland, so whether or not we could convince him to leave would be another thing, but if we throw enough money at him, I'm sure we could make something work. The next three are quite interesting. We've got Riley Hardman, who's 20 years old, a little bit of a shorter defender. I mean, Kitty Coleman is also quite short, but he would probably be a similar player to like a Darcy Byrne-Jones coming off the halfback flank that we have used in this series so far. Doesn't get a lot of the ball, but he's already kicked 2 goals in his 4 games, so that sort of shows that we could probably also use him even on a wing if we really wanted to. But the thing with him is 85 to 92 potential. That is the exciting bit. The next one is very exciting in Braden Maynard. Now, he is a bit older. He's 28 years of age, but was born in South Australia, although did grow up in Victoria. I believe he is a free agent at season's end. Getting a bit of experience from Collingwood is always good. They are more than likely going to be Premiership contenders this year. See real life, but they're actually not doing so well in-game. So he may be looking for a move. Again, a bit of a bigger body, 189 centimeters. Will McCabe is an interesting case. Now, he is a father-son to Hawthorn, but was born and raised in South Australia. 197 centimeters, a lot of potential. He's already kicked 4 goals for his career as well as a halfback. So a bit more of that Ryan Burton size, 85 to 92 potential. I think he is going to be very, very good. Probably not going to get him though, for a multitude of reasons. 1, he's a father-son, and 2, Port and Hawthorn don't like each other. Mitch McGovern, I really only put him here just because he is a free agent and he has played in South Australia before, although did want to leave South Australia to go play for Carlton, even though he's Western Australian. This is probably the least likely candidate, but you never know. Same with John Noble, is South Australian, but just moved to Gold Coast, but has been exceptional. We'd be more than obliged to put him on our list, even though this probably wouldn't be the most realistic option. Jackson Pryor is up next, another one from Essendon. A little bit more of an experienced player. I say that compared to some of the younger players that we've listed, but left footer again, 23 years of age, probably not as much room to grow on the potential side of things, but I think he can do a job for us, even in that back pocket to halfback area. Isaac Quainer, again, I don't know if he would want to leave Collingwood, but if there was an opportunity, we could snag him away. 25 years old, he's in the prime of his career, 109 games played. He is very, very good. Mason Redman is a bit of an interesting one. Now, he did have an opportunity to come back to South Australia as a free agent. He chose to re-sign with Essendon. So depending on what we do in our off-season, depending on how much cap space we have, he could be probably the best of the crop that I have listed in this position. Our backline, we've got obviously Zerk Thatcher, Lear, Ryan Burton as probably our three main backs. Miles Bergman, I believe we have re-signed, but we could be looking to, or he could be looking to move on in real life. So I'm not necessarily going to follow the same plan as real life compared to in-game. So we'll just see how that goes. But if we had to lose one of our key backs, Mason Redman could fulfill that gap really nicely. Matty Roberts is another one, another left footer, 184 centimeters, really sort of rebounding off of halfback, has a lot of speed, 86 speed is really good, and a really accurate kick, which is really, really good as well. A bit of potential to his name, 80 to 86. Same with Bodie Ryan. I believe he has the same potential. He's 80 to 87, but he's only 20 years of age and a lot less experience. Only played the 2 games for his career. So could be looking to get out of Hawthorn. We could give him a chance not only in the AFL side, but also in the VFL. Not the VFL, the SANFL. Wow. Starcevic is another name that we have listed here. 25 years of age. Really, really good defensive player in terms of his sort of evasion, even though that is listed under a offensive attribute. I do like the look of his tackling, spoiling, defensive mindset, and his sprint speed. He is very, very fast. 129 games played. Really, really good at getting intercept marks. He also has 129 intercept marks for his career. Could be an interesting get from the Brisbane Lions. But the last two are probably the big names that I am going to be aiming for, or the biggest names, I should say, that I am going to be aiming for. The first is Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, heavily linked to Port Adelaide in real life. Only 22 years of age, one of the best young defenders off of halfback in the game. He is probably going to be one of my main priorities in the off-season. We would probably need to trade some draft picks to get him, because I don't know what we could possibly offer St Kilda in terms of other defenders. We could do a straight swap with Bergman and Wanganeen-Milera. In terms, we'd obviously have to add in something else as well. And the last one is Bailey Williams. When we played against the Bulldogs a couple of episodes ago, he was very good. Again, a bit more of an experienced player. He's 27 years of age, so we probably would go for Wanganeen-Milera over him, but he is still very, very good. Now we're going to have a look at our key defending targets in this offseason. This probably wouldn't be necessarily to replace either Aliir or Zerk Thatcher next season, but the following season, because I mean Aliir does expire in 2026. He's getting a bit older. I think he's over 30 now, so we are just going to see how that plays out. But Leek Aliir, I think he's from Central Districts if I remember correctly, has only played a handful of games for GWS since he got drafted, only the 12 games for his career at this point in time, but has a lot of potential, and I think he is right in that Aliir mold of a really good contested mark, really, really good spoiling defender, big body. He is going to be very, very good for us if we can work out a trade with the Giants. The first former teammate of mine that I'm going to include in this video is Charlie Ballard from the Gold Coast Suns. Unfortunately for him, he has been ruled out with an injury for the rest of the year. I hope he gets well very, very soon, because he has been very, very good throughout his career, was really a draft bolter in his draft year, and has gone on to play over 140 games for the Suns so far in this game. Really, really good physical defender. 86 physicality, really good marking, spoiling, defensive mindset is there. So I think, Zerk Thatcher, who's also a former teammate of mine, having him and Ballard maybe being teammates in the future, reminiscing back to my old Sturt days, would be very, very nice. James Barrett is a player who recently got drafted this year, I believe, only 18 years of age. He's actually playing a bit of forward, looks like, for the Saints. Either, I'm assuming that would be in the VFL. But 10 goals in the 7 games he's played so far, 194 centimetres, has a bit of potential to his name. I believe, let's have a quick look, 82 to 92 potential. A lot of room to grow, but this would definitely be one for the future. And then we've got Matt Carroll, who is also 19 years of age. Left footer, only 188 centimetres, so a little bit small for a key defender. He's only played the 1 game so far, so obviously going to be on a multi-year contract with Carlton. They may want to hang on to him for a little bit longer. Will Dawson is one of my preferred targets this offseason, 201 centimetres, wearing the famous number 18 at North Melbourne, but has a whole lot of potential. I think it was really, really high, 85 to 95 potential. So depending on what North Melbourne wanted to do with him, I do have an idea in my mind for a trade with North for the future, but I'm not going to spoil that just yet. That will be something that we cover at a later date. Aaron Francis was a top 5 draft pick once upon a time, and it's just never really worked out for him, unfortunately. He never really worked it out at Essendon, eventually found his way to Sydney, and he got delisted at the end of last year and then got relisted as a rookie. Only played the 77 games in basically 10 years. You know, if he were to get delisted again by Sydney, we could definitely pick him up as a delisted free agent. Probably one that we would look to spend or look to use in the SANFL as just sort of one of those sort of really experienced guys that if we need to, we can call up into the AFL side, but would probably be just a backup option at this point of time. Taylor Goad, another key defender from North Melbourne, except this one is absolutely huge, 207 centimetres. A big piece of beef. Hasn't played a game yet, so could be looking to move. 20 years old, has a lot of potential, 85 to 94. Very, very interesting. We've actually got 2 other North Melbourne players on this list, which I'm quickly going to have a look at. We've got Toby Pink, who was playing for Glenelg once upon a time. 26 years of age, again, probably just a backup option, but is South Australian, and I think could help develop some of our younger guys in the SANFL. And then we've got Matt Whitlock, who is the twin brother of Jack Whitlock. Would he want to come over to South Australia? He is Victorian, but his brother is also on the team, so that does help out a great deal. I probably wouldn't have him on my list if he wasn't a twin of a player that I already had on my list. Charlie Nichols, another young draftee. A lot of the key defenders are a lot of young players that I have listed. Charlie hasn't played a single game for his career so far, but 197 centimetres, has a bit of potential to his name. The next 2 are sort of a bit more of the experienced lineup, or experienced targets, I should say. Callum Wilkie from the Saints. He is a free agent, I believe, at season's end. 29 years old, is a little bit off-putting, probably a little bit older than I would want to target, but a very good player, 84 overall. Really, really good at getting those contested marks. As we have a look, 89 marking, really, really good. And then another former teammate of mine, Lewis Young, who initially started out as a forward, I believe, or at least when I played with him, but has become a defender at AFL level. Started at the Bulldogs, actually. I was about to say the North Melbourne, but no, he started at the Bulldogs, made his way to Carlton, and has been really good for them over many years. Has only played the 78 games, but is a very, very good tall defender. Next up, we're going to have a look at our small forwards, and Calamachi is the first one on my list. Really, really good small forward for Brisbane. I think he had a big bag against Hawthorn in the most recent game, if not, it was the week before. But I think he is going to be very, very good if we can get him as a free agent. If not, I probably won't go for him. Callum M. Brown is the next target, a sort of a taller small forward, if that makes sense, 188 centimetres. He's a one-out type of guy, only played the 11 games, no goals kicked for his career, but that would probably change if we can get him on our list. A very physical, sort of beefy kind of guy. His set shot is pretty good for a guy who hasn't kicked any goals at AFL level. Has decent kicking power, but his field kicking and running shots aren't great. So that just may be something to keep an eye on. Brad Close from the Geelong Cats is our next target. And we got a good look at him last week when Geelong beat the absolute crap out of us in the last episode. He is South Australian, so maybe wanting to look for a move home if Geelong can't find their way to another flag this year. Sort of one of those medium-sized forwards, 181 centimetres, 101 goals for his career at this point in time. Really fast, really, really good. And I always like seeing a long sleeve Guernsey on an AFL player. I don't know, I used to wear long sleeves at certain times playing in the Adelaide Hills when it was very, very cold. So I can empathise with that. Michael Frederick is another one from Fremantle that we're going to have a look at. Crumbing forward. His brother, I believe, plays for Sturt or at one time played for Sturt. I don't know if he is still listed, but would be a target that we would go after. 183 centimetres. As I said, crumbing forward, really fast, really sort of agile kind of player. Phoenix Gothard is up next, 179 centimetres from GWS. This one is definitely one for the future. Has not played at all at any level this year. I don't know if that's because of injury or whatnot, but does have a lot of potential, 89 to 96 potential. Harvey Harrison, probably not as much room to grow, but is South Australian. We may just sort of see what we can get from him if we were to trade for him at one point in time, but this is definitely on the maybe pile. Now we're starting to get into the bigger names. We've got Will Hayward here from the Swans. My brother, who is a Swans supporter, would be very upset if we moved him to Port Adelaide. I believe he even used to play for Sturt, if I remember correctly, or at least another SANFL club. I do not remember, but really, really good player for the Swans for many years. 173 games, 210 goals. Gets a lot of score assists as well, so definitely going to be a very, very good player to have around goal, especially if we move on from Willie Rioli, who has not played at AFL level this year. Darcy Jones, not South Australian, but I just like how he goes about his business. He's a very small forward, 25 games, 26 goals, 25 score assists. There's not really much more I need to say about that. He is very, very good. Also, for whatever reason, has 21 hitouts for his career. He's 175 centimetres. I think that's hilarious. Kai Lohmann, another young player from Brisbane, was awesome in the grand final up against the Swans. I think he kicked 3 or 4 goals, if I remember correctly. I don't have a vote for the Norm Smith medal, obviously, but he was my second place vote for the Norm Smith medal. I think, I was about to say Will Hayward. Will Ashcroft was my first place vote. I thought he was absolutely incredible on grand final day. But Kai Lohmann, another target from the Brisbane Lions. Last but not least, I decided to skip over a few of my other targets because looking back, I don't really want to go after them, is Tyson Stengel from Geelong. I only put him on here out of principle because he is South Australian. Would he want to move on from Geelong to another SANFL club, another AFL club? It would be his 4th for his career. I don't think he would. So we're just going to say no to Tyson Stengel, but if you're interested in the future, hit us up and let us know. Slightly controversial one here. Oscar Allen is on my shortlist. Now, he is a free agent, so obviously we wouldn't have to give anything to the West Coast Eagles, but I don't know if he's going to Hawthorn. I don't know if he's going to Brisbane. There's no stopping us from throwing in a cheeky bid in there for Oscar Allen. Now, do I realistically think he would sign with us? I don't think so, but there is no harm in trying. Aaron Cadman is on my list, and I think if we threw a ton of money at him, he would come and sign with us. Has a lot of potential to his name, as we know. Former number 1 pick, is Victorian, so may not want to sign with the South Australian club outright, but I think we can potentially get something done, and I've used him in AFL 23. He was absolutely amazing. I would love to see what we can do with him in AFL 26. Kaush Shadir is another father-son from Hawthorn. He is very, very good, had a very good debut season. Probably not going to sign him because he is a father-son, but I wanted to do my due diligence and put him on my list, at least for consideration. Nick Larkey is next up on my list. I just think he's probably sick and tired of playing for North Melbourne. He's very, very good, has an outstanding AFL record, and is one of the straightest kicks in the AFL in front of goal. 26 years old, he is in the prime of his career. Again, I have an idea for a North Melbourne trade in my mind. I'm not going to spoil it just yet, but it could go for either Nick Larkey or one of the other defenders that we were looking at. We're just going to hold it out there. We'll see what happens. Logan McDonald, a very interesting player from the Sydney Swans. Western Australian, but has not really lived up to his top 5 draft pick status, I don't think. Could be looking for a move, the Swans. I'm not really sure what's going on with them in real life. I don't actually know if we have any New South Wales players listed on our team, but we'll see what we can conjure up. But I think we could, if all else fails, Logan McDonald could be a target for us to have a look at. Jay Polkinghorne, a Norwood representative, now playing for Geelong. He's already played a few games, 9 goals, 26, good lord. I'm assuming that is in the VFL because that wouldn't be in the AFL. A very, very interesting player with a lot of potential. Was really, really good in the AFL 23 simulation that we did with Tasmania, although he wasn't playing for, obviously, us. Was very, very good for Geelong in that series. Obviously, that wasn't the licensed player. It was a community creation. But we'll see how he returns in the second half of the season with Geelong. Now, hold your horses, everybody. This is the last key forward that I am going to be looking at. It is Jamara Ugle-Hagan, who obviously is having a very interesting year with the Western Bulldogs. He may just want to get it out of the state. That is just an idea that I do have, and I'd be willing to put up some money for him because he is very, very good on his day. Does he need a bit of help? Probably. Does he need to change his scenery? Definitely. So if, for whatever reason, the Aaron Cadman deal falls through, Jamara will be my next target. The mids are up next, and James Aish, very, very famous South Australian name. The Aish family, his dad, I believe, played for Norwood, was very, very good footballer, played over 200 games for Norwood. And he has sort of bounced around the AFL at certain times. Started at Brisbane, went to Collingwood, and now over in Perth for Freo. 29 years of age. This would only be if he wanted to come back and finish his career in South Australia, but I really don't know. He's not my first choice. Cody Angove is a very young player from GWS. I believe he only just got drafted. He's played the 4 games so far. Hasn't really made an impact, but has a lot of potential to his name. And doesn't really appear to have any real weaknesses. His proficiencies are all very, very evenly spread out. I think he's just going to be a very good all-round player for us if we can get our hands on him. Will Day, again, Hawthorn, not our biggest fans right now, but South Australian and very, very good. 81 games, one of the best midfielders in the AFL, and he's only 23 years of age. There's a lot of buzz that Zach Butters in real life may want to move to a Victorian club. Why not do a straight swap Butters for Will Day? We'll have to see what happens, but I'm not willing to rule anything out, although my preference is obviously to hang on to Zach Butters. He is one of our best players. Braden Fiorini is my next target, or is at least on my short list. He is a free agent at the end of the season. He spent his entire career on the Gold Coast, 115 games. He's chipped up with a few goals here and there, but that's not really his role. He's just an explosive, really quick kind of midfielder. And I think, again, just as one of those bench midfielders, as a reserve, I think he could be very, very good because our midfield is probably our strongest sort of line right now. So if we've obviously got Connor Rosie, Horn Francis, Butters, Ollie Wines, Boak, I suppose Jace Burgoyne fits into that category as well. Would he obviously break into that? Probably not. So he would be next in line if there's an injury, I would dare say. This one, again, just a due diligence pick. Lockie Neal, the 2-time Brownlow medalist, could be a 3-time Brownlow medalist at season's end. Is South Australian from the York Peninsula. Again, would he want to leave Brisbane? I don't know. But you never know if he wanted to leave. If his morale was low enough, even though he's, 32 years of age, I would be crazy not to have a look at him. He is still so good. Tom Powell, another Sturt boy that we have lined up. I never got the chance to play with Tom. He was probably a few years below me in the Sturt Academy, but a very, very good midfielder on his day. 184 centimeters, just the 82 overall, but does have plenty of room to grow. Tom Sparrow, not a player that I ever played with, but a player that I played against many times. Grew up in the same area. Basically, our local clubs were rivals, and then eventually at SANFL level, he played for South Adelaide, I believe. South Adelaide? Yeah, he played for South Adelaide. I played for Sturt. He's gone on and become a Premiership player with Melbourne, a very, very good player, only 24 years of age, really just that big body midfielder that, if Horn Francis was to go down, we could definitely pick up. Next up, one of my favourite teammates of all time, Callum Coleman-Jones, was an absolutely amazing privilege to play with him as a midfielder and a half forward in basically junior football, because he was massive and he would win every hit out. It was absolutely incredible. And when kicking to him, when he was sitting at full forward, he would mark absolutely everything. Unfortunately, his career has not gone the way that we probably thought or hoped it would for him. Suffered quite a few injuries, but is a Port Adelaide supporter, so I think he would be very happy if I was to bring him home to South Australia and for him to play for his favourite club. Sam Day, a very experienced campaigner from my favourite AFL club. We got drafted from Sturt back in the day in that very first Gold Coast draft in the 2010 draft, I believe it was. So we'll just have to wait and see what can go down with him. He's at Brisbane at the moment. I believe he's a free agent. He was really just kind of a stopgap signing once Joe Danaher retired. If we could get him, be an experienced signing, probably for our just SANFL guys, he could just be like a player coach kind of signing, but not my number one target. Tom De Koning, not South Australian, but I do need to upgrade my ruck, and he's one of the players that is at the near top of my wish list. Is a free agency signing, or is free agency eligible, I should say, and he's probably the best ruck in the competition apart from Max Gawn right now. I don't think that's too controversial a stance to make. He is very, very good. If he didn't want to go to St Kilda, which I don't know why anybody would want to go to St Kilda, and he didn't want to go to Tassie, why not sort of spend the next few years of your life down in South Australia? Alex Dodson is the next one from St Kilda, a very young player, only recently got drafted, but obviously not at the same time. We went to the same high school, and he's another Sturt boy. I do love my Sturt boys, so I'm trying not to show bias to my Sturt players, but the ones that I pay the most attention to, so obviously I'm going to have a little bit of natural bias. He's very, very tall. Obviously, that comes with the territory of being a ruckman. Again, this would sort of be as a reserve sort of youth development kind of signing. Speaking of Sturt boys, at the other end of the spectrum, we've got Brodie Grundy, who is sort of at the other end of his career now. Never got to play in that Premiership with Collingwood, unfortunately for him, but has been an All-Australian ruckman multiple times. Unfortunately, has just never really gotten that success that he deserved. Would he want to finish his career in Port Adelaide? I don't know. He seems to be very comfortable up in Sydney right now. He only really just got there. You could have also said that when he got traded to Melbourne, but that was sort of a separate issue. But this would probably be if the De Koning signing fell through and we didn't really have another ruckman on the list other than Jordan Sweet. Lastly, we've got Jacob Mollier in terms of our ruck signings. He went to Heathfield as well, which was my high school, and also another Sturt boy, I believe. Hasn't played a game yet for Geelong, even in the reserves. Not as much potential as Dodson, but still very, very good. Good size, essentially just a backup option, really. Lastly, we've got the utilities listed on our AFL shortlist, and the first of which is Cade Chandler from Melbourne. I was about to say North Melbourne. I don't know if he played in the Premiership side. I can't remember, but he's played the 56 games for his career so far. 42 goals, does a little bit of everything, sort of in the definition of being a utility, but only the 175 centimetres, so probably not going to spend a lot of time in the midfield. Probably we want someone a little bit bigger, but definitely a half-back or half-forward option. Brennan Cox is next up, and he is definitely one of the taller options. 195 centimetres. Very, very flexible. Seems to be very, very fit as well, it looks like. So definitely a bit more of an agile kind of player. So could potentially spend some time in the midfield, but also probably going to be either a sort of half-back or half-forward option. Just the 31 goals from his 111 games, but does get score assists as well. Also spends a bit of time in the ruck, which is handy. The next two I'm just going to pair together. It is Xavier Dersma and Zane Dersma. Xavier Dersma obviously used to play for Port Adelaide, and if I was to trade for Zane Dersma, I would probably try and get Mr. Xavier Dersma back over to the home side. Obviously, they are Victorian, sort of born and bred. We could be very interested in getting the two of them on our list. Zane Dersma obviously has a lot of potential. Xavier's gone on to become a very good player. We'll just hold this on pause for now. Next up is one of my favourite Gold Coast players. It is the Colonel. It is Sam Flanders. Again, sort of could be a forward, could be a midfielder. Had a very, very good season in 2024, and I believe his 2025 has also been very good. This would be probably one of my more premium options, but I don't think I'm probably going to go for him. This would be obviously one if one of my other options fell through, but I like the Colonel. He's very good. Billy Frampton used to play for Port Adelaide and is a Premiership hero for Collingwood. I don't believe he touched the ball on grand final day, but he got a medal nonetheless. Could be interested in a return to Port Adelaide if he's not getting enough game time at Collingwood, but I'm not going to hold my breath over it. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. James Leake was really, really good in our Tasmania series, and he's only 19 years of age, has a lot of potential. Hasn't played a game yet in the Rezzies or for the main side, so could be interested. Obviously, Tasmania not in this universe, at least in this point in time, so could be interested in a move to South Australia, which I don't know how sort of geography works. If Tasmania is closer to South Australia or New South Wales in terms of distance, I'm not sure, but who knows? Hopefully we can sign him. The next few are definitely more premium options. We've got Mateus Philippou, who was really, really good in AFL 23. I believe it was against in our Richmond series, I believe it would have been. He had a game where he kicked like 5 goals, 6. It was amazing. Sort of a midfielder, half forward type, but could also go back if need be. Has a lot of potential as a former top 10 pick, I believe. 190 centimeters. I like the size of him. Very, very, very interesting type of prospect. Cozzy Pickett, next in line, South Australian, but wants to move to Perth. Very interesting scenario. May even stay with Melbourne if they continue and get another premiership at this rate. Who knows? But a very, very good player. 23 years of age. Probably going to spend most of his time in the forward line, I dare say. Very, very small, but very, very effective. Riley Sanders, another player from my Tasmania series, a very, very young player from the Bulldogs, 186 centimeters. Probably going to spend a lot of his time in the midfield, but a very, very good player with a lot of potential. Alex Sexton, 31 years of age, definitely a free agent option, but again, not really someone that I'm going to spend too much time looking at, but is just here if we need a spare. And the last player on my shortlist that we're going to cover today is Jack Silvani. Out of contract, looking for a new deal. For whatever reason, he has no stats, so that is a little strange. A little bit of a bug there, but a very, very good player. Can play at any end of the ground. I mean, he's a father-son to Carlton. I don't necessarily think he would leave Carlton in real life, but money talks. So we'll just see how strong those family ties are. And that is it for our sort of off-season preview / players that I'm going to look at video. That's a weird way to finish things up. The next episode will be up against Fremantle at Optus Stadium. It is the last round of Sir Doug Nicholls round. That was really hard to say. And then if we have a look at our calendar, the following week, I believe we've got GWS on the Saturday. That is out at Manuka, and then we've got West Adelaide the next day up against, or us really, that's at home, which would be nice. So that is going to do it for today, guys. Gameplay will be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for your support on all of these videos. You guys have been absolutely exceptional. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until then, I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys then. Bye!